Discover College Soccer podcast is sponsored by VIO. VIO is the #1 AI camera solution helping players capture college recruitment videos. Check out their new starter and family options by clicking on the link in the description or visit Discover College Soccer to learn more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Mike from Georgia Gwinnett College. Welcome, Coach.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Yeah.
So we're talking here. It's early March, kind of the peak heights of the college showcase season. And so I'm just curious for you as an NAI program, kind of what does your normal recruiting calendar look like? I mean, and I understand that FAFSA may make this not a normal year, but are you done with 24s, still looking at 24s, moved on to 25?
Sure.
Kind of what is your standard calendar usually?
Sure. Well, so Matt, this is my fifth school in all five divisions that I've coached at. So each one of them has had a different calendar, and this is a bit of a different calendar. We will this year have 17 countries on our team. We actually have 17 different nations on our team, and so our two primary markets, although we have plenty, our best players, was a traditional high school senior in the States, and we have 4 or 5 other key players that fit that demographic. Our two of our main demographics are international students, especially from Europe, and transfers. And so, as you know, Matt, probably I'm sure you know that those tend to be a little bit later in the process than most. And so we have now 5 Division I transfers on the team. That's obviously in November, December on. We have, as I said, 17 countries on the team. I'm just wrapping it up. I've really likened this last couple of weeks. We've been campaigning. If it was a political campaign, we've been campaigning forever, and it was election week, and it's been crazy. And so I'm literally down to probably one defender for 2024 that I'm talking to. And then the boss always says, if you find that 10 or 20 goal scorer late, give me a call.
Yeah.
You can go over budget. So yeah, our calendar tends to be a bit more like for the following year, a bit about November 1st to March 1st. That tends to be our recruiting calendar for the next year, just because we don't have a lot of traditional age freshmen. We definitely have some, and they're some of our best players. There's no question. The soccer IQ and the soccer quality is high in the States, and so we certainly want to recruit. And Georgia's great for girls soccer, and my best player, I think the best defender in the country in our division was a DA player from back in the DA days, a DA player from here in Atlanta. So yeah, so that's sort of our calendar. That's sort of when we start and when we get wrapped up.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously with a lot of transfers and internationals, that's a lot of looking at film more than anything else. But do you get out to any of the showcases, tournaments? Are there places you like to be to see players?
I do, but not as much. And I thought about coming on here what to say. I mean, one of the things I'm most proud of, man, you have a reputation for knowing the college world quite well. You know that the transfer portal is just blowing up every year. I mean, this year, almost 2,000. I mean, that's just a stunning number to me. 2,000 young ladies saying not happy where I'm at. A few are graduate students, but many are not happy where I'm at. I'm moving on and things like that. And so one of the things we find, I think the thing we're one of those proud of, we've never had a transfer from our program to another program. Now, we have had Europeans get homesick and go home, but we've never had one transfer to another program. And I think we treat them the right way. And of course, I make that argument quite a bit on the front side. But we're the newest university, the newest public university in America. We do things very differently, ways that I can explain later. But many times, what they're intrigued with at this point, as traditional high school juniors and seniors, they become really excited about once they've been in college for a year. And so I probably get out to less events. I was out 4 last year, I think, 3 events and that I've got out to personally. So just not out as many times as many of the other programs I'm sure you're talking to are getting out to. So, which I'm not complaining. It's nice not to have a few weekends where I don't. But like you said, my life is spent watching videotape after videotape after videotape. I was literally doing that while we're waiting on this call with you, a young lady from Spain, trying to decide if she's our final center back or not. So,
Okay, well, one of the things a lot of schools are doing these days, though, is ID camps, but with international kids and maybe transfer players, it's not as easy. Do you guys do any ID camps? Is that
Well,
part of your recruiting process?
okay, first of all, Matt, if we have a sequel to this, we do this a year from now, the answer will be yes. We literally have just made the very, very firm business decision and decision to actually start doing that on a more regular basis. But here's one of the reasons we haven't done that is you might know the NAI has something that I think is actually, I don't understand why everybody, I don't care what division you're looking at, doesn't at least take advantage of. You can actually come train with us
Yeah.
for free, and it just comes. So here you're playing with and against college players, um, and there's no cost, and you can find out the level of play. Uh, Matt, you can imagine. I'm not a bit of a yell. I'm not much of a yeller and a screamer, but I can get quite worked up when a young lady says, "Well, coach, I'm a Division two or medium level Division one player. I'm not really in a." You can imagine I very respectfully lose my mind when I hear that, given our record against those two divisions. Um, but one of the ways to find out where you fit is to come and train with college players. And so for literally free, if you can sneak away on that day, you can come train with us. Now we're a morning training school, so that can be challenging, but I think it's a great opportunity. I thought, Matt, honestly, this would be something we'd be having 40 a day. Hasn't quite worked out that way. So I think that's why we're going to the ID camp world. By this time next year, we'll have quite a few. So the problem is these kids, as you know, Matt, they're spending more money on ID camps than they get back in scholarship money. And I have a young lady, will tell me all the time, oh, I'm so excited. So and so, just gave me a personal invitation to their ID camp. And I think that's great. That's good for you. But you do understand that if you had never played the game in your life, they're literally not allowed to keep you from their ID camp. So, in other words, I'm glad that they personally invited you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that you're on their short list. But we will by a year from now. But boy, we every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning, if you're a potential in any level of recruit, I tend to, Matt, maybe you're old enough, maybe you're not, but I tend to use the Dumb and Dumber approach to recruiting. They go, oh, coach, I'm looking at D1, and I just a 1 in a million chance I'm going to go to your school. I'm going, yes, you're saying there's a chance. So that's all I want. And so we've had about 9 out this season so far, but I thought it'd be much bigger than that. But that's sort of the way we approach the ID camp situation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, Division two allows that, and when I was a D2 coach, that was kind of my mantra as well. It was
Exactly.
well before ID camps were in were trendy, but yeah,
Exactly.
I understand. Well,
Exactly.
whether it's at a practice or you're watching film or any of these things, kind of what makes up the hierarchy of things you're looking for in a player, both on the field and off the field.
Yeah. So the second one is a big one but on the field, I'm sure you get the same answers all the time. But we are if you were a forward, Matt, and or you said you had a daughter. Your daughter was a striker and said, hey, coach Mike, I'm a real offensive striker. I'm really not much into the defensive side of things. I'd have to tell her, thank you, but wrong school to come to. This is my 36th year at the college level as a head coach, and we have been obsessed about being the best high pressure team in our division every year. And so one of the things we look for is mental involvement. We look at what they're doing when they don't have the ball, what they're doing right after they play the ball. Man, it's incredible to me how many players send us highlight tapes that every time they pass the ball, they are standing there doing nothing after they pass the ball every single time. And that's a real concern to us. And so we have to ask, if it is an issue, are they teachable? And are they able to understand that we're going to move after every time we pass the ball? And so that's one of the things I look at. So I've coached, man, I'm a bit unique in the fact that I've not only coached in every single one of the division, but I've also coached men for about half my career and women for half my career. And I'm often asked what the differences are, but there's not that many. But one of the ones I say is that I learned that my men's team could hate each other and somehow come on the pitch and really get it done. My women's team's not so much, Matt. I mean, if they hate each other, we have a problem. And so we really do. I just told a young lady the other day, she had 7 offers in the first 24 hours of her videotape getting out there. She's from the Netherlands. And she said, are you going to sort of be the 8th? I said, not until I talk to your coach. I want to know, what kind of person you are as far as getting together, being a good teammate in that kind of way. So we are putting increasingly more emphasis on, are you the right kind can you fit in a unit? Because we want to be the ultimate no drama team. I used to teach conflict resolution at the college level, and I have no interest in drama. And you being a former college coach, you know, drama and college athletics go to hand in hand, but we're trying to get that to be as little as possible.
Yeah, as you know, I've coached guys and girls, and I think you hit the nail on the head with
Yeah,
with that. Absolutely. Well,
yeah,
let's shift gears a little bit, talk a little bit more about the school. I'm sure there's folks not familiar with Georgia Gwinnett. So you've been there a few years now. What do you find are
yeah,
some of the awesome things that maybe we won't know even just by going to the website?
yeah. So Matt, I mean, there are people in this town that don't, you know, aren't familiar with us. So when you're the newest public university in America, you're going to have some people that don't know who you are. And so we are by definition the newest public university in America. We went from zero in the last 14 years. We went from 0 students to 12,000 in 14 years. We're busting at the seams. We're doing really well, and part of it is because we do college differently. In fact, our first president said America doesn't need another college; it needs a different kind of college. So let me just give you one little example. Your daughter chooses us, and she comes plays for us, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and um, she is struggling with calculus for an exam the next day. She actually is given a number here. She can call, say, I need a math tutor on the phone, and for free, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, she gets a tutor on the phone. Well, there's not many schools that are offering that for free, and it's just a very different kind of structure. One of the things, though, is we're one of the first schools to not require testing, and so for some parents who still believe they believe two things, and I'm sure some parents are watching your show, and I'm gonna shoot straight with you. Parents believe two lies: that the more expensive you are, the better you are always, and the harder you are to get into, the better you are always. I mean, by that, the best education is going to be reserved for the wealthy, and it's just not the way it is. And GGC sort of turned that on its head. We're the most diverse college in the Southeast United States. 4 of my children are African American, so I'm obviously comfortable with a diverse culture. We are a school that, if you don't have the scores, but you have a good case to make that you can handle it here, you can make that case. And of course, in the post-COVID era, lots of people abandoned, testing, but we abandoned it early because we thought that's the case. But then again, Matt, that goes back to the traditional American. The parent looks up and says that GGC is easier to get into. They conclude wrongly, I would say. Therefore, the education must be inferior in some ways. And so we're also the least expensive college, public university in the South United States. If you are in one of the 5 southern states around us, it's a tuition amount of $5,000 per year, which, as you know, is a pretty low amount. And again, as long as you believe that the more expensive a school was, the better it is. In fact, I was at the most expensive NAI school in the country, and I actually did the opposite. Well, you get what you pay for, and so I actually made the opposite argument. But I'm all in here. I think this is a really interesting experience. 12,000 students, and yet a class size of 21. I mean, that's just not, those two don't go together. And so love where I'm at. Love the sort of the experimental and quite effective nature of what they're doing educationally here as well.
Yeah, it sounds cool. Well, in terms of the typical day for an athlete during the season. So let's rewind. Maybe we're in October, in the heart of the season. Kind of walk me through what a typical week's going to look like for the players in terms of when things are, meals, classes, practices, games, all
Sure,
that stuff.
sure. Well, so we recruit a lot of Scandinavian country players, and they need to know that we're looking at a very different weather experience in Georgia than they are what they're used to. And so we're a morning training program, partially because of August. I mean, you take August out, and Atlanta weather is fantastic. September, October, November. I coached in Chicago. Believe me, I know. And so it's a challenge though in August. And so we do train in the mornings. It's usually about right now it's 9 to 11, 9:30 to 11. Our weights will be an hour before then, and then we have a full-time strength and conditioning coach. I don't do a thing with weights, just like most programs these days, and that is usually before all of that happens. Matt, each student athlete will fill out a readiness survey that all goes to one place so the coaches can see it, because we need to know, we need to be, how sore are you, how tired are you, how homesick are you? When you have so many players from so far away, that's going to happen a decent amount. And not that we're going to cancel training every day. Sometimes you just have to suck it up and go through it. But that's sort of our calendar. We have just like every other team, 2 matches a week on average, occasionally 3, not very often, every now and then 1. And I probably give a few more days off than many of the coaches you're talking to. When I was young, I thought we needed 6 hour training sessions 6 days a week. And then I realized, you know what, they quit listening to me after the first 30 minutes or so. So we try to keep our training sessions at 90 minutes exactly. And we give them a few more days off just because they need that mental and physical break. College soccer is challenging and college soccer is hard. We play because we're unique in the sense that we're sort of independent. We're in the league, but we don't have to play in the conference the regular season. We're free to play wherever we want, and so we're very proud of the fact that the NAI, like everybody else, ranks their strength of schedule of all their teams. 214 teams. We've had the third, second, or first hardest schedule in the country every single year, and so we'd rather lose a 1-0 game to a great team than our semifinal last year was we won 13-0, and I played my starters for about a third of the game. It's not fun to me. It's not fun to the players, and so we try to play some tough teams.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team. I know you mentioned, 17 different nations on the roster, which is
Yeah.
pretty unique and neat. But is there a roster size that you find is ideal that you're trying to
Yeah,
have each year?
so Matt, you've been doing this for a while. You know that there's two kinds of schools. Those that need athletics to fund how many students they have. So those tend to have the 40s and the 50s. I have a colleague that's 50. She's told she has to have 55 players in the team at any one time. Of course, that's a JV team and a JV team and everything else. They don't need athletics here. We have 6 sports teams and we're at 12,000 students and just busting out. So they don't need us for students. So I'm free to have whatever size roster I want. I, you know, in my early coaching days, Matt, 11v11 in my first licensing and stuff, you don't play 11v11 back then. That's that you don't touch the ball enough. Well, now we realize it also makes soccer IQ and hurts soccer IQ, and so we do want to do a few 11v11s throughout the week and things like that. And so I want to have 25 to 28 players as my average. I've been up as high as 30, 32, I think was my highest. I try to be really direct on the recruiting side so that there's no surprises when they come in and they're the fifth number 9. They need to know that. That loses me some players, but it also keeps the culture here, I think, pretty solid. And so I've definitely lost players I really wanted, but I told her I don't think you're going to play a lot your first year, and here's why. And they don't want to hear that. The recruits want to hear, oh, you created the universe the way you play, and so you will play 90 minutes here every day. And I'm not, I don't think that's the best for them or best for me to say those kind of things. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, besides a roster, you got to have staff to manage it. So tell me about your staff. What role does
Yeah,
everybody play? All that
good
kind of
staff,
thing.
good staff. So I'll talk about 2024 staff, which has had one addition. We don't have many people leave, but we have additions. So I have a full-time assistant coach. I consider her associate head coach. I think online she's an assistant coach, but that's only a state of Georgia labeling thing. She's fantastic. She played Division I soccer Cincinnati. Dree is a goalkeeper, so she does all our goalkeeper stuff. I know what I want our goalkeepers to do. I just don't know how to tell them how to do it, how to train it. So I say, Dree, I need this more, and then she always finds a way. We also have a club coach from the area that's been with us for 5 years, and Trey will be back. And then we've added Matt. Matt's an interesting. If you've been around college soccer for a while, you might even know Matt. Matt Clark is he coached at a number of different colleges. He was a big deal in Tony DeChico's goalkeeper camps for a while. That's where I met him. His daughter transferred here from Division I school. He just wanted her to have a better experience. She wanted to have a better experience. Definitely still getting playing time at the other school, but she just wanted a better experience, and so she transferred here. And then Matt sort of let slip one day that he's sort of retiring from his regular job. He's just going to be working for WPSL and as a scout. And I said, well, that leaves you a lot of time. I said, so what are you doing? Why not come join us? So Matt will be joining us, and he has the ear of a lot of professional programs out there around the world. And so, not all of my players are going to be obviously of professional level, but there are a few. I have a Japanese player. I think if she can handle the rigors of the size issues, I think she's a professional caliber player, and some others. But so that would be my group, and then of course strength and conditioning coach is separate, and athletic trainer and all of that as well.
Okay. Well, I got to ask about you now, though. You like you said, you've been coaching quite a number of years, all the different levels, men's and women's. So when you put all that together, how do you describe kind of your coaching style and the style of play that you look to play?
Yeah, well, I think the two things. Okay, here we go, Matt. On a discovercollegesoccer.com site, I'm about to use a coaching cliche. I'm so sorry, but I truly believe it's true. I think they don't really care what you know if they don't know that you care. I think at the end of the day, the student athletes believing that I believe in them more than just their abilities as a footballer. We don't use the soccer word very often just because we have so many internationals on the team. They don't know what soccer is, so we use football a lot. Um, I think they know I care about them far beyond their ability on the pitch, and I think that really helps. But I think the other thing is this: I was a college professor, sort of a half and half for quite a while until I took the San Diego State job. And at the end of the day, I think, Matt, that good coaching is good teaching. It's just finding. We all know the game for the most part. How do you teach it in the most efficient and effective and interesting way possible? And sometimes you get a little crazy. We were trying to work on ball watching, and so I was thinking it through, and so we said, "Hey, let's try this. Let's put a assistant coach in a pink jersey during our small sided stuff, and if that coach can sneak up on you from 10 yards behind you and tap you in the shoulder, you got two quick push-ups, just trying to get them to look off the ball." And it was a weird thing. We did it for fun, and it worked. I mean, we're so much a better non-ball watching team than we were before, and so finding creative, interesting outside the box kind of ways to help the players understand the game, to grow their soccer IQ. I think that's, if I've had any success, I think that's part of it. Is I think we find creative, compelling ways to teach the game, and we do it efficiently. Because again, my old days, 25, 27 years ago of the 3 hour practices, those don't work. Those don't work, and we're well past those now.
All right. Well, like I said, we're talking here in March. What does your spring, non-traditional off season, whatever we want to call it, look like for your players?
Sure, we train Monday through Thursdays in the morning, and we have weights 3 times a week as well. Just the other day, they had the annual weight training, the annual CrossFit Murphy training. So I think they're sleeping off spring break right now because they're so tired from the Murphy. But we train 4 times a week, and we have, like everybody else, I'm sure you know this. There's not many playing dates opportunities, so we only have three and a half if you count the alumni game chance to play. And so we're going to play. We play a D1 7-a-side coming up, and then we've got a D2 game coming up as well. And then we play. You, Not surprisingly, UGA has a club team that actually is
Mhm.
quite good. Just because there's a lot of kids these days that say, you know what, I'm good. I'm done with soccer, but I want that big football experience.
Mhm.
Well, UGA is pretty big football experience, and so I was shocked when I saw their club team. I thought, wow, okay. Any of you want to transfer and just go on the weekends to go watch your, to watch your beloved Bulldogs play? So that's sort of our schedule for the spring, and we're about halfway through, and on spring break right now, and they'll be back, and we'll be getting after it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate all the time. I got one last question for you.
Sure.
And like I say, you got lots of experience to draw from, but if you could boil it down, if you could give me one thing that you would want to make sure any college recruiting prospective player should know going through this process, what would that be?
Well, here's the thing. I would say, and I'll make it specific, but the glory of, so I was a professor and a coach at a NAI school when I took the San Diego State job as a full coach, and my president called me and said, "I'm going to talk you out of it." I said, "Okay, let's go." And he said, "Well, how can you leave the teaching profession after just becoming a full professor?" And I said, "I don't think I'm leaving the teaching profession. I think I'm actually going to one of the most dynamic teaching professions there is." And I said, what athletics gives you is a chance to practice life's most difficult challenges when the stakes are relatively small. Being cheated out of something, being treated unfairly, things like that, all sorts of things. Referees, I know they never make bad decisions, but occasionally make decisions, and learning with that. And so my challenge is this: is the student athletes that I know that have gone on to have enormous both soccer careers and careers after it, they accepted the good and the bad. My biggest concern about the prevalence of the transfer portal now, Matt, is that I can look at a student athlete funny, and they're going, "That's it, I'm out of here. I'm going somewhere else." And I don't think it's the end of the world to transfer someplace. And there are some coaches you shouldn't probably play for, but I think what the successful footballers or any college sport, they are okay. That was a rough season, but I'm in. I'm in, and let's fix this for next year. Or that was a rough couple of weeks. And those that dealt with adversity best on the pitch tended to deal with adversity best as they moved on in life. And so that would be my is don't run the other way the first sign of opposition. You're about to come to a place. Every single one of these young ladies was a star in high school. Every single one of them. And you were the star of your club team and the star of your high school team, and now you're about to come with 26 others who could say the same thing. And so it may not go well for you first day. Don't run. Don't run. Stay and learn about yourself and learn about dealing with adversity, and that will make you a better footballer and will make you a better person. That's would be my argument to them.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, Coach, really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck here finishing off
Thank
the
you so
spring
much.
and getting after it again in the fall. And if you get down to any recruiting events down here in Florida, give me a shout. All right.
I sure will. I sure will, Matt. Thanks so much for the chance to come on. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer study table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table, and hopefully we will see you there.